Hello fellow homesteaders. Today we're going to make some multi-purpose all natural scrubbing cleaner for the kitchen. I'm going to use borax in mine because I'm going to be scrubbing some residue here on my stove. I let the grandchildren help me cook, so it got a little messy. In the article I included some baking soda based recipes as well as a witch hazel one if you're uncomfortable using borax, or if you're cleaning a natural stone surface, if that's what your countertops are made out of. I did not include anything, however, for baking soda. Good thing I was a shortstop and caught that. I would have spilled salt and had all kinds of bad luck. If you're in a pinch and you're out of the borax, the baking soda, or the witch hazel, or just want a little extra cleaning power, you can add some salt, a few pinches to either recipe, or you can do the 2-to-1 salt to distilled white vinegar or rubbing alcohol based recipe and get more of a scrubby, scouring kind of a paste, or a 2-to-1 vinegar rubbing alcohol to salt based recipe for a spray. So that's kind of an in the pinch thing. You can add into salt any of these recipes unless you're doing it on natural stone. I would not recommend that. But it's just a little add-on there in case it's something that you want to try. Oops, spill my tea tree oil. That you want to try if you're cleaning something that's very difficult to clean. Gives you a little extra scouring powder. Now I'm going to add in my borax. I'm doing 1.5 cups of the borax. A little extra spilled in there is not quite a big deal. There's my cup. And I will add in my 1/2 cup here. Didn't realize my box was getting so empty. I use this for so many things, including homemade dish soap. This came out rather clumpy. It's not as hard to break up as, say, brown sugar or even salt. Go ahead, you get a big clump like that, crinkle it out. You don't want to have that counting in for your measurements. You'll be fairly off. And as you can see here, there's a little bit of clumping anyway. That'll come out when you stir. Now I'm going to add in my distilled white vinegar, something I also use around the homestead for all kinds of cleaning and home remedies. So I'm going to pour that in here. Now you don't get much of a fizz with this. There's a smidgen, but not like you will. Yeah, you can see a little bit there. But it won't foam up like you're making a volcano for a science fair project as it would do with the baking soda. And now I'm going to add in my 1/4 cup of the rubbing alcohol. You can also use vodka or any kind of alcohol that's 80 proof or above. Vodka is actually more of a potent disinfectant and cleaner than the rubbing alcohol, but either one works pretty well. And go ahead and give these all a stir before I put in my essential oils. Now this is more of a, you couldn't really spray this, but it's going to be too runny for a paste. If I wanted to do it as a paste, I would need to mix in a little bit more baking soda. I think perhaps I stubbed my toe there a little bit when I poured my vinegar. So I'm going to pour in my tea tree oil. Again, if you happen to be out of tea tree oil, not a big deal. It's an extra disinfectant, but this will clean well without it. This does stiffen up just a little bit as you stir. Apologizing for my farm dogs, folks. You can hear them in the background. And I'm going to go ahead and dip my cloth in it. And it's, when you pick it up, you get more of that grainy scrub type of feel, even though it doesn't look like a thick paste. And now let me make sure that you can see here really well and go over to my stove and scrub so you can see how quickly and easily all the baked on greasy stuff here from letting grandkids help me clean last night did. Double check and make sure you can see everything I'm doing. I hope this does not make you dizzy. I'm going to chill just a little bit. And you can see now how white and clean that is there. And how it's not so much here, but a few little swipes is all that it takes to do the cleaning, and it comes right off. Not a bunch, I don't need any abrasive scouring pad like you typically would, and worry about ruining the finish of your stove, or maybe a dishwasher, or the inside of your microwave. I've done that before to microwaves. I would not use something salt-based inside the microwave. It's a bit too abrasive. But as you can see, this has only taken a couple of seconds. That was pretty thick grease that had gotten baked on there. The kiddos helped me with a few projects. I don't have any streaking or residue. You can hear it's squeaky clean. So I don't have any residue from the borax. Sometimes either borax or baking soda will give you a residue. Got a little bit right there. I'm just going to use my broken fingernail on. And it cleaned it right up. It looks nice. And some of these things here are just permanent. It's an older stove that came with our homesteading house. For the most part, everything came off nice and clean in just a couple of seconds. Not any intense scrubbing, not using any magic eraser that's full of chemicals or a scouring pad that's also full of chemicals. It just took wiping it over without any deep cleaning, any deep scrubbing. And it's nice and clean. And I'll go ahead and clean the rest of my stove now that I've done this instructional video. In the crevices, there's a few spots you might have to go around, but that was really thick buildup on it. That's been about 3 days in coming. I left my stove like this so I could demonstrate how well this cleaned. I'm going to be happy to have a clean stove again. You can wipe out your oven with it also, but you have to make sure it dries completely so there's no fumes, especially if your stove is a gas one like this one. I would scrub it in there very lightly, the minimal amount that you think that you need, and you would leave your oven door open, and I would not use it for at least 6 to 8 hours afterwards, just to make sure there's no residue on there that could be a fire hazard. But it's nice, clean. Rub your hands across it, it squeaks, it's so clean, and it's disinfected.